All right.
Great.
Yeah.
So can you just take a minute to introduce yourself so the folks know who you are?
Sure. I'm Ed Ariel. I'm the VP of Service Operations at EasyCater, headquartered in Boston here.
Perfect. And I'm Monica Tarr. I'm with Bennett Bay Consulting, and this is our CXpert interview of the month. And Ed's going to share his experiences on employee engagement. So when I met you at the CCNG conference, the Executive Summit in July, everybody seemed to crowd around you and be astounded by some of the things you're doing with your employees and hiring and the culture and all of that. So I wondered if you could give us a little insight about how did you go about sort of creating this culture, and did you guys do it consciously as a startup, and what pointed you in the direction that you ended up?
Yeah, so when I was hired by EasyCater a little over 3 years ago, it was a very unique situation. The call center at the time, there was maybe 12 customer service people. We call them ninjas. There was 12 ninjas, but they all worked remotely. So they were hired remotely, they were trained remotely. And when I was hired was to start building an actual call center here in Boston. So I was giving a lot of leeway there was already that one benefit of working remotely was just given to these people. And some of those people, some of those original 12, I would say maybe 2 or 3 of them have left.
Wow.
So when I was hired, I had experience with big call centers from AT&T and Fidelity, and I was brought in and kind of given carte blanche, like right from the get-go. Like at the time, we had mostly stay-at-home moms that were working for us, and I sat down literally within my first month and was like, we're not going to be able to scale this to 100 people or more with just stay-at-home moms, especially as the product gets more complicated. So with the benefits, with the initial package of remote work, an unlimited paid vacation, we had those tools to start recruiting people to come here. Now, it was tricky because no one had heard of us. The economy was getting better, so people had a lot of options, but we were looking for people that would we were selling the culture. We still to this day sell the culture, but back then it was all about we're not looking for a customer service person to come in. We're looking for, someone who has a passion for making people's lives easier. And we sold it that way. And we tried, right off the bat, we tried a lot of things. We tried having people come into the office 1 day a week or never coming in. We still have some people that were hired that come in once a quarter, which it's like a little party when they come in. Everybody wants to talk with them. But so our founders, Stefania, Amelet, and Briscoe, they gave me the ability to do whatever I wanted. So I had worked in some more mature companies, call centers, where we weren't given that leeway. And over my years of doing that, there was a lot of things that I was sitting there going, man, if I could only, if I had the ability, the lates. So we don't really track lates. We treat the people like adults. We're like, if you're going to be a little late, work a little late, you'll be fine. And we try it out. We try out a lot of unusual things. Some of them work, some of them don't. But the people we have working for us, they're people that are very open to change, trying things out. They know we could try something and it'll work. It might work, or it might be it's not going to work now. Let's try it again in a few months, or let's make a tweak to it. So.
Yeah, and you told a story that really I think really embodied the fact that you treat people as adults, you empower them, you let them try things, and most importantly with that, the example that I remember you talking about is that it seems like you also let people learn, and it's okay to make a mistake. And you learn from it and you exercise your judgment, and that's part of being an adult and growing as a professional. Do you recall that story? As I think it would be wonderful for you to share. It was a gal who made quite a large error.
Yeah.
And the way you guys handled it, I thought was quite unique.
Right. So we have an extensive training program. When people get out of training, they're empowered to make virtually any decision as long as they can justify it, any dollar amount, credits, future orders. And what happened on this one was she hadn't read the notes correctly and saw that an order was late, and she reached out to the customer and said, "Hey, we're sorry this is late. It's unacceptable. We're going to give you a credit." Behind the scenes, we had already talked with the customer and the caterer and kind of confirmed it, but the customer just wouldn't let go of the fact that they said it was free. So we ended up crediting $600 or so. She had been out of training for a week or two. So she thought for sure she was going to get fired for making that kind of mistake. And we didn't. Like we pulled her aside immediately. This happens. This was a simple case of like not reading all the notes, but her instincts were right. It looked like it was over an hour late. We should be reaching out to the customer immediately, making it right. And then, without us intending it, the side benefit was all the other ninjas that had been here a while or were in training, they believed us. So you work for a lot of companies and like, oh, you're empowered. And then the first time you make a mistake, you're like, you're not that empowered. And they all got it at that point, everybody. And we still use that story, and she's still here advancing in the company. And so we use it as an example. It's like if you can make any decision you want, as long as it's noted. And if you make a mistake, everybody makes mistakes, learn from it. Don't make the same mistake. And, it's not gonna hold you back like it would at other companies.
Yeah. I think what I just heard you say something that I think people, maybe don't realize, and that's the sort of the grapevine effect, right? So the crowd saw what happened and saw that you guys were believable and you stood behind the culture and you stood behind the word. And it sounds like that's really quite powerful. And, here's somebody who made quite a large mistake and ends up being a great employee and advancing through the company. So what is she doing now? I'm just curious.
She actually, ironically, she works in our QA group. So she's one of the senior members in QA. So she evaluates, the rest of the ninjas, the other 150 ninjas now. She monitors their calls, gives them feedback. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's interesting because, that you obviously you have a QA group, you are a contact center, you get the same reporting that some of the more traditional ones that we may have worked for in the past have. But it sounds like you're using the data and possibly measuring things differently than maybe you did in your past and maybe the traditional centers that I came from too. So how do you go about measuring the performance on a quantitative and qualitative basis to keep this culture going?
Right. So starting from their first week that new ninjas are here training, I go into the training, or the director, if I'm on the road or traveling, goes in and talks with them and tells them, tries to, we don't hire a lot of people that have previous call center experience, but people are very familiar with call center metrics. So we go and we try to dissuade them from the fact that average handle time and number of calls and things like that, amount of time on hold, we don't measure those. Well, we measure acceptance rate. We don't measure average handle time. We don't measure hold time. We tell them right from the start, and we reinforce it through training, that the main two things you're going to be judged on are quality. And we walk through the quality scorecard right off the bat. Here's what you're going to be measured on. Here's how it impacts you. And we also tell them that the next thing you'll be measured on is this operational efficiency, I call it. So we want you to be a participant in your job. We want you to give us feedback on how to make things better. If you're doing the same thing 5 times a day. So the example I always give is that every time you're pressing this one button, the next step is always to press the next 2 buttons. We want that feedback, and we want to get rid of that process because we can automate that. And I tell people, you can be a fantastic ninja. You can have a great career here. If you're not doing the operational stuff, if you just have the best quality, but if you really want to take advantage of a fast growing company with multiple offices and move up, you'll have to do that, the operational stuff. And when I talk with the new people, especially in our outsource centers, that's the part that takes the longest for the outsourcers to get, because they've worked in multiple companies that are telling them, we want your feedback. And then when they give them their feedback, they say, that's a great idea. Your job is to take 80 calls a day.
Right.
But on a metric wise, we do once a week, we put out a very basic, we share it with the entire company, with the entire Ninja team. Everybody can see everybody's stats. It's just, we give it to them alphabetical, not by any one metric. So that, it's just so you can compare yourself to the rest of the team. You can find people on there that's doing the same job as you, and how many chats are they taking? How many am I taking? We set like very low thresholds. So it's really tracking like incoming calls, outgoing calls, number of chats, number of emails, things like that. But we don't use that for evaluations or raises. What we use that for is like we have a tiering structure. So it's a 5-tier structure, but it's really 4 tiers, because if you're in the 5th tier, you're probably not going to be here too long. And then we define what takes to be, like what your quality scores need to be, what your operational recommendations are to be in tier 1. We do look at things like absences, like less than 24 hours notice, but and then what it takes to be in tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, and what are the benefits of being in each tier. So if you're in tier 1 or tier 2, we'll send you to training opportunities. Indicator does a lot of promotion. So we do like easy food fests all around the country. We go to trade shows. So we'll send the ninjas that are in tier 1 and tier 2 to those. So it's a reward for being in the top tiers.
Nice.
And again, like, so we do we call it psychological safety, but we're reinforcing these ideas continuously through their first 6 or 8 weeks. So that to get them to buy in, that we're not just another company that's saying these things, that we really mean it. So.
So how, because it sounds like people do stay long, they take advantage of opportunities to grow, they actually are growing because they're empowered to make decisions and get smarter. So how do you prepare somebody who started on the front line and wants to move up and has the right skill set to move into, say, a lead or supervisor and then up to manager, or maybe they want to swing into a different department? Do you guys have a set methodology that you use to coach those folks so that when they get that new position, they're ready?
Well, we don't right now, but we're getting to the point. So we're going to be at 200 customer service people soon. It's kind of been happening, organically so far because we're growing so fast. But when you get to a certain size, it's good to have a little more structure. But what we've been doing so far is, again, we're very fortunate that I don't just have customer service. I have a few other departments that work for me, and they work closely with like our national sales team or with our caterer sales team. Or with our IT group. So if somebody says, I'm really interested in doing national sales, corporate sales, I have a group that works for me that they work, they don't support them, but they work on trainings and they work on rollouts with them. So I can say, well, the next time there's a rollout, we're going to include you this, and you'll be a part of that team for a month. And if you like it, then we'll give you more exposure there. And if you don't like it, then I'm glad we tried it out, as opposed to you applying for a job there. As for people moving up, we're very, we have to spend a lot of time on that. Again, because of the rapid growth, our supervisors are becoming managers, and we're always backfilling, and that's really the managers and supervisors' main job is to develop that talent. So we do a little outsourcing. We do outside training with that, where we tested a lot of different training classes, and we found a couple that we send people to in the Boston area generally. And it gives them like a base. And we've actually had people come in, we've done it, I think, twice now, come in and they'll do a training for all the lead supervisors, managers, and they give, a pre-session worksheet, and then come in and talk about different scenarios. We do have something called Easy U, and it's self-taught. So like I taught a session yesterday. Anybody can go if they want. We have one where we're teaching people SQL. So engineering and development team will run these sessions and teach them SQL. They're all online afterwards, so you can refresh, or if you've missed a session, sit through it. So we spend a lot of time developing, and we do have very low turnover for two reasons: the culture and the opportunities to move up. So it's been very successful for us. I think that's one of our differentiators is, our turnover here in the Boston office, where most people are located. For the call center, I think we're going to turn over maybe 10 people this year.
Wow.
And it was about 10 last year. The year before that, it was 1, which was amazing. I mean, we were probably like 50 people, but only 1 person left all year. People just, people enjoy coming to work, and they're given an opportunity to succeed. And I think we had talked about this. We pay more than the average right out of the get-go. So we pay you more, and we reward you if you're into the culture and doing a great job. So
if I remember right, you had a few things that you did that really brought fun into the office in a real way, not just words, but you really do make it a fun place to come to work. So can you share that with us, some of the things that you do, and how you created the atmosphere that it's okay to let your hair down and have fun and be human?
Right. So we do a lot of fun stuff. Like one of the things that just one of the ninjas started maybe like a month or two ago was they call it like the Ninja Daily Times, and it's just a newsletter, and it gives like the stats from the day before, but it also does like a ninja of the day. So there's a picture, and then they ask a bunch of funny questions, and like, what's the weirdest thing you've ever eaten? Or if you could be an animal and ask them 3 questions, what would you ask? And people look forward to it, and then you get to know a ninja, because they're not all here all the time. So you get to know your teammates a little better. We also do they do a lot of outings. So for example, next Saturday, so this amazes me from my previous life. If I had said to people at other companies, we want you all to come in on a Saturday and we're going to go do something fun, they all would have said no. But they come in, they get together on a Saturday, and we're all going to, it's called F1 Boston. It's like the go-kart racing. And we're all going to do that. And we pay for it for them. And it's just a good team building experience. We also do things next Friday. We're doing Easy Cater Has Talent. So
how fun.
So like a talent show for all the departments. And then we do when everybody graduates as a ninja, we give them a Nerf gun and a supply of bullets, which people love. Like sometimes we won't even touch the guns for a week or two, but then all of a sudden like a Nerf gun fight will break out, and it's really like people bring their kids, and their kids will play with the Nerf guns all day. And it's just an unusual office environment. I was nervous when people started bringing their kids in and they were shooting the guns all over the place, but it's what makes it unique, makes it fun. Right?
So is it kind of like a bring your child to work day whenever you feel like it then?
Whenever you feel like it, yeah. And we have people bring their, 2-year-old twins up until, 15, 16-year-olds. And the 15, 16-year-olds will, we have a Nintendo, what's it called? Wii U? No, Nintendo Wii. We have a Wii. We have some video games, so they'll play video games and hang out in the office and have fun.
That's really cool. Actually, it gives them a taste of what work is all about, and it's not a big mystery, and it's a fun place.
Yeah, well, I try to temper that a little. I'm like, this isn't how all offices are.
Yeah.
But maybe it will be by the time they graduate. It's working for us, so I think people should copy it.
Yeah. So what is it? I mean, this stuff doesn't happen by accident, and you've obviously worked in much more conservative places, AT&T, Fidelity. So what is it about you as a leader? Because really the culture is created by the leadership and then absorbed and morphed by, the rest of the company. But what is it about you, do you think that's unique, that you were able to help drive this, or what's unique about the founders that drove this, whether it's your experience, something, your education, or even just your personality?
Right. I think it's, so the founders and myself, we've always had this, I'm sure most companies say this, like, you don't want to say we do it because we've always done it that way. And we take it further. We say, you know, like, it's part of our job to question why we're doing everything. So, so myself, like, I'm given the leeway to take on projects that might be outside my scope, like, you know, I'll involve people from other departments, and, you know, we'll do 6 months worth of research, travel a little if we have to go to a trade show or something, and then present an idea. And I think the ninjas see me doing it, so that when we say to them, like, this is what we want you to do. If you there's 150 of you, there must be something we're not doing that you loved from your other company or worked well at your other company. You know, we want you to work on this. And then if somebody comes to us with an idea, we put that person on the team and give them the ability to run with it. And I'm very open with the fact that, you know, I proposed something, myself and another VP worked on a project for over a year. And then when we presented the proposal, it was, it wasn't shot down. It wasn't enough of a priority. So I was like, sometimes you work on something for a year and the answer is we're not going to do it. But, but my boss during that whole year, she's like, is this something you really want to do? Are you going to get enjoyment out of this? And I did. And they give me the leeway. So we do the same thing with the ninjas.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Like the QA is a good example. So QA is important and we let them modify the QA form. So we're on, we've probably changed it 3 times this year. But we allow the QA team to make suggestions to us. What's a better way to do it? The tool we're using for QA was like, I didn't ask them to go get a better QA tool. They were just like, there's a better way to do this. We can monitor more people. We can do it more efficiently if we have this tool. They researched 3 or 4 other options, presented it, and we were like, okay, let's buy the tool.
Great. Yeah. Great. So that's terrific that people who are actually doing the job are given the opportunity to investigate technology, work their own process, make their own improvement. Yeah, I don't know why it doesn't happen more often, but it actually doesn't happen very often. And
then it makes it, you know, it increases the retention, right? Because they know, like, nothing's worse than you work at a company and they're like, hey, we're getting a new QA tool, and then you get it and it doesn't help you as much as you thought it was, or the other tool was just as good, or but here it's they're making most of the decisions or recommendations. Right.
That's terrific. Terrific. So you mentioned in the beginning that you have unlimited vacation, and I'm sure people thought, oh my God, that's nuts in a call center. Yeah. But can you tell us a little bit about how you work that program, how you work staffing around it? Because I'm sure there's workforce optimization people going, oh my God, there's no way we could do that. So how do you guys deal with it?
Right. So I was saying the same thing when I started here. Like, the people, you know, this isn't going to work, you know, as we grow. But within my first few months, after talking with some of the ninjas, I'll tell a quick story and then I'll answer like how we budget for it. But when I first started, one of the women called me up that worked for me, and she was like, I know I've taken more vacation than anybody, but I need 2 days. I have relatives coming to town. So she was actually working Sunday to Thursday. So she's like, can I take Tuesday and Wednesday off? Now, from my previous life, I would have been like, why not take Thursday, right? Because that's what most people would do, like have a 5-day weekend. And so I said to her, you know, why are you coming back for the 1 day? And her answer was, well, I need the 2 days for my family. They're leaving on Wednesday night and I don't want to let my team down. So I know they're going to need me. And then as this started happening, like, you know, I'd be like, you have a doctor's appointment, go to the doctor, you know, and they'd be like, well, can I work a different 8 hours because, you know, the team needs me, you know, I know it's going to be a busy day. And they really they self-monitor each other. And I don't know if I had mentioned this before, but it has gone up a little. So, every year it goes up like a day or two. So when we're budgeting and when we're forecasting, but right now it's right around 3 weeks. So they're allowed to take 3 weeks at a time for paid vacation.
Wow.
But on average, they're taking 3 weeks total for the year. But, you know, so I go back when we're doing the budget or we're doing a reforecast, go back, how much is taken. and on average how many people are out a day, and then just work that into the budget. Hey, we need an extra 3 people or 5 people because everybody's going to take 3 weeks vacation.
Mm-hmm.
The wheels could fall off. Like if you didn't have a good culture and you didn't have people that were committed to their teammates and they were all taking 6 weeks,
Right.
It wouldn't work. But we've literally had people go on vacation and say, we need, I know you're going to need me. I'll log in from Florida and take calls for a day. Or we've had people, we don't encourage this, but we've had people go to the hospital and ask if they can bring their laptop so they can work, right? One woman, she was pregnant and she had to go to the hospital and spend a couple nights there before everything was fine. But she actually had her husband bring her laptop in so she could take calls. And I was like, please don't. I mean, you're going to make ezCater look terrible. They're going to think we're making you do it. Right. But multiple people have done that. Like they just feel such a dedication to their coworkers and to the company.
Yeah. So how do you have a way that you measure this in terms of? I think we all know that this has a positive impact on customers. I mean, how could it not? Mm-hmm. Do you have a way to see that this does make your brand special out in the marketplace?
Well, I mean, it improves the level of customer service because you're dealing with more senior people, right? You're dealing with people that, since nobody's leaving, we have people that have been ninjas for 5 years.
Wow.
Like our oldest employees are, 2 of our oldest employees, 2 of our most senior employees, they've been here the longest, they're not the oldest, have been, they were the first group of hires and they've never left. So some of them have moved up a little, but that gives you a better level of service. And it also, like when a new person comes in and, one of our managers says, hey, I was the 5th employee in the company. I started off as a ninja. Here's the path I've taken. It gets people excited.
Uh-huh. Yep. Well, Ed, thank you so much. I hope everyone enjoys your feedback. There's such great stories, and it gets me excited. I want to come work for ezCater. I don't know about everybody else.
It's a great company, but if anybody has any questions or wants to talk about any of the stuff we do, like I threw out some terms that we didn't have time to discuss, like psychological safety, I'm more than willing to talk to anybody. Great. I really appreciate that. And how might they get a hold of you? It's real easy. So my email is ed@ezcater.com. That's what happens when you're been here a long time. Or they can go on the website. There's ways to contact all the management. So if you go to the About, then there's a picture of me there and you can reach out. Perfect. And you're on LinkedIn, of course. And I'm on LinkedIn, of course. Yeah. Perfect. Well, thank you so much. And best of luck to you. Best of luck to ezCater. And I can't wait to hear more stories about what's going on with you guys. I really appreciate it. I appreciate it too. Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay. Bye.